The conflict in Ukraine has seen Russia's economy adapt to the demands of war. This means a shift in focus towards military production. Factories that once produced cars or consumer goods are now churning out tanks and ammunition. This shift has kept some industries busy. It has also created jobs in a time of economic uncertainty. However, this wartime economy is not sustainable in the long run. Russia relies heavily on imports for certain technologies and materials. Sanctions imposed by the West have restricted access to these vital resources. This is causing production bottlenecks and slowing down economic progress. The longer the war continues, the more pronounced these challenges will become. Russia's economic future hinges on the outcome of the conflict. A swift resolution could allow for a return to normalcy and economic recovery. However, a protracted war will likely lead to further economic hardship. The Kremlin must weigh the costs and benefits carefully. The decisions made today will have a lasting impact on Russia's economy for generations to come. The transition from a wartime economy to a peacetime one is fraught with challenges. This is especially true for a country like Russia, which has invested heavily in its military-industrial complex. Factories that have been retooled for weapons production will need to be converted back to civilian use. This is a costly and time-consuming process. Moreover, many workers currently employed in the arms industry may find themselves out of jobs. Retraining programs will be necessary to equip them with the skills needed for civilian occupations. This will require significant investment from the government at a time when resources are already stretched thin. The success of this economic transition will depend on several factors. These include the availability of investment capital, the flexibility of the workforce, and the government's commitment to supporting the process. Failure to navigate these challenges effectively could lead to economic stagnation and social unrest. Russia's leaders face the daunting task of rebuilding their economy while healing the wounds of war. The road to recovery will be long and arduous. But with careful planning and decisive action, Russia can emerge from this crisis stronger and more resilient. Western sanctions have dealt a significant blow to the Russian economy. These measures were designed to cripple key sectors, limit access to international finance, and pressure the Kremlin to change course. While the Russian government has taken steps to mitigate the impact, the long-term effects of these sanctions are starting to bite. One of the most immediate consequences has been the sharp decline in the value of the ruble. This has made imported goods more expensive, fueling inflation and eroding the purchasing power of ordinary Russians. Access to vital technologies and components has also been restricted, hampering industrial production and innovation. The sanctions have also made it more difficult for Russian companies to access international capital markets. This has limited their ability to invest and grow, further hindering economic development. While Russia has sought to forge closer economic ties with countries like China, these partnerships are unlikely to fully compensate for the loss of Western markets and investments. The full impact of these sanctions will take years, if not decades, to fully unfold. Russia's economy is facing a period of prolonged uncertainty. Its ability to adapt and innovate will determine its long-term economic prospects. The specter of uncertainty hangs heavy over the Russian economy. The ongoing conflict in Ukraine and the lack of a clear path towards peace have made investors wary. Businesses are hesitant to commit to long-term projects, fearing further instability and economic shocks. This lack of investment is stifling innovation and hindering economic growth. Adding to the uncertainty is the potential cost of reconstruction in Ukraine. If Russia is compelled to contribute financially to the rebuilding efforts, it will place a further strain on its already burdened economy. This is a sensitive issue with the potential to fuel social unrest, particularly if ordinary Russians perceive that their needs are being neglected. The path to economic recovery for Russia remains unclear. Much will depend on the duration of the conflict, the severity of future sanctions, and the willingness of the international community to re-engage with Moscow. In the meantime, the Russian government faces the daunting task of restoring confidence in the economy, both domestically and internationally. Rebuilding trust will require transparency, accountability, and a commitment to economic reforms that promote sustainable growth and development. The choices made today will determine whether Russia can emerge from this crisis stronger or whether it will remain mired in economic